Yeah, Blake, obviously a lot of choices need to be made from now until Inauguration Day. That day is going to be coming quickly as in terms of who's going to fill out his cabinet. But the first position slotted just moments ago, Susie Wiles, who served as the president-elect's campaign manager, will be taking over and assuming the position of White House Chief of Staff, the first female to ever do so. And in our talks with members of the Trump campaign, they said that Susie Wiles is someone who really garnered the respect of a lot of people within that campaign and is someone who they really wanted to see taking on that position. So that is the first position that has been filled out. But there's many, many more to go. And it begs the question, who else could be on that cabinet? One name that has risen to the top of conversation, Elon Musk, who we've seen on the campaign trail many, many times, floating the idea of possibly some type of role that deals with budgets and government waste. And then, of course, you have Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who you even heard the president-elect saying in his victory speech that he wanted him to be there to heal the nation and play some kind of a role in the future of his administration. Many, many more decisions still to be made here, Blake, but a big point of emphasis, they want this administration to look different than the one in 2016. Blake?
Our Robert Sherman live for us once again in Florida. Robert, thank you. Joining us now, someone who knows a thing or two about being Donald Trump's chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, former Trump White House chief of staff, NewsNation contributor. Hello, sir.
Hello, Berman.
Big decision that Trump just made.
Yeah.
You've got the vantage point, the perspective of this. Explain for our audience what the chief of staff is, why it's so important.
That would take the entire show. I'll give you the short version.
Yep.
The chief of staff tells the president things he doesn't want to hear and does the things that the president doesn't want to do. It's the chief spear catcher for the president of the United States. It is the chief of the staff. You're charged with trying to figure out a way to make the White House work in a way to help the president be as successful as he possibly can. It is a 24-hour-a-day job. There's no question about it. You got a big target on your back with the press, with these folks on the Hill. It's the center. It's the center of all the activity in the White House.
So not an easy job, obviously.
Fun, but not easy.
How hard is it of a job specifically working for Donald Trump?
Every president is different, and even presidents within their presidency are different. You know, Donald Trump took a lot of heat from the media for having 4 chiefs of staff in his first term. Do you remember how many Barack Obama had in his first term?
You made this point the other day.
4. And it's just a difficult job. The average life expectancy of this job is about 15 months. I've heard nothing but really good things about Susie. I don't know her myself. I know a lot of folks in the campaign, a lot of folks in the transition, and without exception, they think she'd be really well suited to this.
There's a very small club of you all here.
About 2 dozen of us,
in Washington, right? And I believe you all communicate, or at least some of you talk to each other. And when you do, take Susie Wiles out of the picture for a second, but if you were to talk to a chief of staff incoming, whether they're Republican or Democrat, you would tell them what?
I won't tell you what I told them. It is a very, very tight fraternity, now a sorority and a fraternity.
Right.
But I relied on former chiefs of both parties for insight from time to time, and it was extraordinarily helpful.
Mick's key points for Trump's transition. Let's show it real quick as we look to, obviously, other decisions that are going to be made. Here you are, sir. Competency, familiarity with D.C., loyalty and commitment to Trump and MAGA, and central casting. Explain.
Competency, you have to know what you're doing, generally speaking. Okay? You can't be a non-lawyer and be the attorney general. You can't not understand markets and be in Treasury Secretary. Okay? It doesn't mean you have to have been in the energy department your entire life in order to run Department of Energy. You should know something about it. Rick Perry was a governor and a really good Secretary of Energy. You also have to know how to run an organization, because some of these have got 20, 30, 40,000 people in them. That's the competency I'm talking about. What was the next one?
Familiarity at D.C.
With D.C., and it's not too much, right? You can come from the outside, but you have to have a little understanding of how Washington works. It's really hard for someone to come from Wall Street to Washington. You can do it. Look at Rex Tillerson, didn't do it very well. So Trump will be looking at people, maybe not from inside the swamp, and I get that, but folks who at least understand how this town works.
What do you mean by loyalty and central casting?
Loyalty is not the blind sort of, oh, I'll do anything for Donald Trump. It's, are your interests aligned with the president and his agenda? Is your first loyalty to Donald Trump, or do you have divided loyalty someplace? By the way, this should come as a shock to no one. Barack Obama picked loyalists for his cabinet. You have to have a loyal cabinet because they are your most trusted advisors.
Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider.
And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.